Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and this is your Photo News Fix. This fix is brought to you by Squarespace. My personal website, jaredpolin.com, is built using Squarespace, and I wouldn't use anything else if you're a photographer or a creative. It's simple, easy, affordable, and get this, you don't need to know coding, because I still don't know coding after all these years. I even took a class. To get a 14-day free trial without a credit card, go to squarespace.com/FroKnowsPhoto. If you decide that it's for you, use the code FroKnowsPhoto at checkout to get 10% off your first order. First up, Huawei wants to rewrite the rules of photography. What the does that even mean? The rules of photography are already the rules, and here they are.
The first rule:
shoot raw. Check.
Second rule:
don't crop. Check. Rule number 3, yell at Ken Rockwell. Ken Rockwell, you got great calves. Check. And those are the rules. They don't need to be changed. Huawei has launched their new P30 and P30 Pro, with the Pro claiming to be a quad camera, though it's more like a triple camera array, with the fourth being one that creates the depth map, and it's called time of flight camera.
Why not?
The first camera has a 40 megapixel sensor that covers a 27 millimeter equivalent focal length and has a 1.6 aperture. The wide angle camera gives you a 20 megapixel sensor with a 16 millimeter equivalent focal length. And finally, the third camera gives you a 5x optical zoom with a 125 millimeter 35 millimeter equivalent, thanks to a periscope style telecamera with folded optics. Basically, the sensor is parked inside the phone and through the use of mirrors captures light. You know what's funny? Kodak had a dual sensor camera back in 2006 called the V610.
How was it?
It's Kodak. They're out of business. That's how it was. Huawei mentioned that they created a more light-sensitive image by using an RYB sensor instead of the normal RGB. They claim they can max their ISO at 409,600, and I think Dan has a sample image of that right now.
Jeez.
Come on, people. 409,600 ISO with a tiny sensor is like claiming your Polaroid Puma shoes can make your Impossible Project photos better, because they can't, and nothing can. There's one more thing this phone can do. It can combine multiple RAW frames using a super resolution algorithm to give you a 50x zoom, which from what I've seen doesn't actually look that terrible, though it's mostly digital. You know what's next for smartphone cameras? Cameras. Cameras are next. No more phones, just cameras. Though it is pretty interesting to see what Huawei and other camera manufacturers are doing with algorithms in their fake cameras. It's going to be interesting to see what they do when they get into our real cameras. We're almost at 1 million subscribers, and when I hit 1 million subscribers, I'm giving away a camera. If you haven't signed up yet, go to FroKnowsPhoto.com/MegaFro. Next up, Sony has decided to continue the RX0 camera line by announcing the RX02, or DOS, or DOS. What was that movie?
Part 2.
Let's be clear about something, guys. It's not the RXO, it's the RX number 0 Roman numeral 2. After the huge success, and by huge, I mean most people didn't actually like the camera, including Steven, and by Steven, I really mean me, Sony's trying again with this newer and more improved version. The RX number 0 Roman numeral 2 packs a 1-inch 15.3 megapixel CMOS sensor powered by Sony's Bionz X processing engine that features an ISO range of 80 to 12,800 into a super rugged waterproof housing. There's a 24 millimeter equivalent f4 lens with a minimum focus distance of 20 centimeters. Hey Dan, what's that in inches?
7.87402 to be exact.
How'd you know that? One of the many issues I had with the original camera was how tiny the screen was. I couldn't read the menus, the screen was so damn small. Though I don't think the screen on this one got much bigger, they did add a flip out screen, which will make vlogging easier for those who really want to use this camera as a vlogging camera. The biggest issue with the original camera versus a GoPro was it lacked internal 4K recording. Sony has answered the bell by including internal 4K recording with full pixel readout and no pixel binning. On top of that, it includes a high frame rate filming option of up to 1,000 frames per second, which is going to look terrible. All jokes aside, this is a solid little camera that's packed full of features in a super tiny package.
Like your...
Thanks, Dan. If you'd like to grab an RX0 Roman numeral 2, you can do so in April for the price of 2 GoPros when you trade in an old GoPro and get $100 back, aka $700, or if you're in Canada, sorry, it's going to be $900 or 450 toonies. And finally, in more Sony news, Sony has released firmware version 5.0 for the Sony A9. This new firmware is a major software update that brings AI-powered autofocus. They added Allen Iverson into the autofocus system? Better image quality, and other workflow improvements. Basically, Sony should have rebranded this camera and called it the A9.5 since it's pretty much a new camera. Originally announced back in January, firmware 5.0 brings a powerful real-time tracking mode for fast and accurate subject tracking. The A9 already had fantastic focus tracking along with IAF to make shooting sports an entirely new ballgame. For them to make it even better now is something I look forward to seeing with my own eyes. The A9 will now use artificial intelligence, aka AI. I'm a real boy! Ha! Artificial intelligence-based object recognition to detect and follow subjects through the frame with unprecedented accuracy. The fact that you can use real-time IAF without having to hold a button down is pretty mind-blowing. Sony either is so far ahead of everyone else's focusing systems, or they simply are the best at selling it. I'm just not sure sometimes.
Always be closing.
To go along with better autofocusing, Sony claims that the image quality has gotten better as well. And I quote, "The camera now more accurately reproduces subtle changes in light for smoother, more natural tonal gradations and improved auto white balance results." If you have a Sony A9, you can download the new firmware as we speak to supercharge your camera, just like we did. Yep, we have an A9 at the factory. And there you have it. That's your Photo News Fix this time around. We'll be back on Monday with a special Photo News Fix. So to check out the last fix, go ahead and click on the screen right here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And that's where we'll leave it. Jared, Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.